Let's do Discourse. Of every platform I review in this series, Discourse is the one I score highest on the things that most communities are actually built on, which is holding a good discussion. I give it a 9 out of 10, the top score I give to any platform I'm going to review. It's also one of the 3 platforms, alongside Higher Logic Vanilla and Gainsight, that I see Khoros communities migrating to most often. So we're going to run through the same 9 capability scorecard as every episode, so you can compare it like for like, and I'll show you where Discourse is really strong and where I feel it falls down, and the one thing you have to get right if you're going to move to it. But I'll start with the evidence, because this isn't a hunch. Look at where some of the biggest communities leaving Khoros have actually landed. Google moved its developer community and its local guides community onto Discourse. Shopify runs its community on it, and HubSpot had just relaunched their community on it too. And these aren't small forums. As I record this, the Shopify community on Discourse, I think, has around 1.5 million members and 1.8 million posts. I think Google's developer forums have over 260,000 members and close to 1 million posts. HubSpot, I think, has around 500,000 members, maybe 800,000 posts. These are real numbers. They're some of the largest brand communities on the planet. And when they left Khoros, this is where a lot of them went. So when I say Discourse is one of the top 3 places Khoros customers most often land, alongside Higher Logic, Vanilla, and Gainsight, that's what I'm basing it on. The question for you isn't whether serious customers trust it. It's whether it fits what your community is for. That's what the rest of this episode is going to be about. To understand Discourse, you have to understand it's being a product-first company for almost its entire life, since Jeff Atwood founded the company in 2013. And that came with a really huge advantage and a really big disadvantage. The advantage is that they built the best forum-centric product in the market by a distance because the product was their obsession. The disadvantage is that for years, they were behind on the things around the product. Things like support, sales, professional services, that commercial machinery other vendors had figured out, Discourse didn't have. If you wanted a slick sales process and a big account team, Discourse historically wasn't where you'd find it. And that history still shapes the platform you would buy today. The product runs really deep, but outside the product, the rest of it, the support, the sales, the services, it is catching up. And I'm going to show you how far. So here's what's changed. And it matters if your last impression of Discourse is a few years old. Discourse has finally built a proper team, and it's an incredibly good one. Everyone I deal with, all my clients, they seem to genuinely love working with them. And I think the Discourse team, when I engage with them, they're the most technically savvy group of any vendor I engage with. Almost everyone I've spoken to there actually knows how to use the platform and understands community better than the sales teams and staff I deal with at most other vendors. And that's incredibly rare. It's the precise thing people leaving Khoros say they stopped getting. But there are 2 honest caveats here. The product first focus still lingers a little, and there's still a relatively small team compared to the bigger organizations serving the space. But credit to them, they punch well above their weight. And especially where it counts, the people are excellent. That product DNA also shapes where they're strongest. Discourse is exceptional in technically minded communities. They're great with developers, gaming, crypto, and a lot of the support-centric communities out there, especially the places where things like code blocks and deeper form mechanics genuinely matter. That's not an accident. It's where the product was built to shine. So, discussions and Q&A. I scored Discourse a 9, the highest discussion score I give to any platform in this series. And this is because Discourse, I think, is the benchmark other platforms get measured against. It has a lot of interesting, unique features. It tracks each member's read position so it knows where everyone left off. It lets the community edit posts together in wiki mode. The composer handles code blocks with proper syntax highlighting. You also get real-time presence indicators, topic timers, slow mode, whispers, and custom reactions, bookmarks, and tag groups. And the admin tooling underneath it is excellent too. You can merge, split, move, and archive topics, run bulk actions, and put up full revision history and schedule auto close and auto bumps on discussions. If running a serious discussion is a job, nobody does it better. Discourse really goes deeper on raw discussion craft than any other platform that I review. Even recently, they're pushing the frontier. Nested replies only shipped, I think, around mid-2026. So if you looked at Discourse a year ago and it was a flat reply structure that put you off, you should probably be looking again. Second, and this is where Discourse has genuinely surprised a lot of folks, is AI. I scored Discourse an 8 for AI, and that's because there's a lot that's going on there. There's a live MCP connection that lets external AI tools read and act inside your community through a standard interface. There are AI agents, 13 tools that can close a topic, edit tags, set slow mode, grant a badge, or mark a question as resolved, with a human reviewing it before it goes live. There's AI search across the whole community, summaries of long topics. It auto tags new posts. It runs AI spam detection. And there's an AI bot that answers questions straight from your community's content. That's a lot for one capability. And two of these in particular deserve a closer look. First is the MCP. Plenty of platforms are now bolting on a way for AI to read your community. What makes Discourse different is that it doesn't just let an assistant read, it lets it act through those 13 agent tools, and it sits on a community that's already machine readable from the ground up. Which brings us to the second thing, and the smartest thing they've done. Every page in a Discourse community is also machine readable. Add a .json to the end of any topic's web address, and you get a clean, structured version of that thread. The question, the answers, who said what, and which reply was marked as a solution. You don't switch it on, it's just there. So when someone asks ChatGPT or Claude a question your community has already answered, Discourse is one of the formats those tools find easiest to read and to cite. And they've gone further with support for the newer LLMs.tech standards, so you can hand AI tools a curated map of your best content. The practical upshot of all of this, if being found inside AI answers matters to you, and it probably should, Discourse is unusually well still up for it. The reason this scores an 8 is that it's actually shipping these things. It's not still on a roadmap that might be implemented at some date in the future. They put this stuff out month after month. So judge it on what it does in your community. But either way, the direction is incredibly clear. The third strength, and it connects to the last one, is moderation, also an 8. The same AI agents carry a set of moderation-specific tools, paired with that human review queue, so you get AI doing the first pass and a person making the call. Underneath sits Discourse Trust System, which automatically promotes members through 4 tiers as they earn it, which quietly takes a lot of the routine moderation off your team. Add AI spam detection and a deep plugin ecosystem, and you have one of the strongest moderation suites in the market. And this matters more than it used to. If you're a large consumer community with real safety concerns, the kind you can't ignore, moderation is no longer a nice to have. Discourse holds up incredibly well here, and it's a common reason I see enterprise teams shortlisting it. Now let's cover the capabilities where Discourse is fine. These aren't why you would choose Discourse, but it's things that Discourse does okay. One is gamification. This is a 6. The trust level system is an elegant hybrid. It gamifies participation and it reduces moderation burden at once because earning trust unlocks abilities. There are badges with custom triggers and an official plugin that adds leaderboards and scorings, but it doesn't have that deep native points and ranks reputation engine that Khoros built, which is why Khoros still scores a 7 here and Discourse sits just behind. 2 is content and knowledge. Here I give it a 5. You get the basic building blocks, a docs plugin and gives a knowledge-based style view, wiki mode so the community can maintain articles, and a proper real text editor since 2025. But it's not a real knowledge platform. It doesn't have native courses, blog, video libraries, and the knowledge-based experience is lighter than the tools built specifically for that goal. It's adequate, but it isn't the reason to buy. 3 is mobile, where I also give it a 5. It has a strong progressive web app that does feel close to native. It has a Discourse Hub app for iOS and Android and the option of a custom branded build. It's better than vanilla at 3, but behind Khoros at 6. It's solid, but not a selling point. Forest Analytics also have 5. There's built-in reporting for content and engagement, which is extended by plugins. And one point in its favor, because Discourse is so open, it's easy to get your data out and into your own analytics tools or anywhere else. But if execs want board-ready dashboards out of the box, you're going to have to fill that gap and lean on the API to close it. Now the thing that defines the whole platform and the single decision that makes or breaks a move to Discourse. Discourse has some of the most advanced features and functionality out there. It has a deep plugin ecosystem, plus the ability to get right into the code. The ceiling of what you can build is effectively unlimited. The critical thing, if you move to it, is that you actually take advantage of that. The whole value of Discourse is that it goes deep in a handful of areas, like discussion mechanics, moderation, AI readiness, the developer and gaming use cases. If you're inside those areas and you use that depth, nothing else will compare with it. If you're outside of them, that depth isn't doing enough for you. And the capabilities we just walked through, the content analytics and the rest, are where you might feel that it doesn't quite live up to what you need. For example, when I was going through the moderation options and discussion features, if that made no sense to you, Discourse probably isn't the right platform for you. However, there are 2 things to consider here. First, a lot of that power in Discourse lives in plugins and custom development. So you want a developer in the loop or budget for Discourse's own services team. A large enterprise team currently moving off Khoros told me they'd had to install some plugins and do a little custom development, but that was easier than the heavy-handed work Khoros had required in the past. And that matches what I hear repeatedly. Second, it can be a lot. Discourse is so feature-rich that it can feel overwhelming, on the front end for members and on the back end for admins. This is not a simplified form experience. It is a deep form experience. So here's the failure mode I'd warn you about, because I've seen it. A team buys Discourse for the depth, and then they treat it like a simpler package platform. They never put the technical resource behind it. They don't build the plugins, they don't use the deep mechanics, and they end up with something more complex than they needed and less finished than what they left. The platform doesn't fail them. They bought the depth and never used it. If you're not going to resource it, a more packaged platform might make you happier. Now, the 2 weakest areas functionally, and I want to state them really plainly. One is events. I scored Discourse a 3. Events used to be a bolt-on plugin, is now bundled into Discourse Core with an interactive calendar, event posts with going and interested RSVPs, recurring events, time zones, and even a holiday calendar as well. That's real, and it's well ahead of Khoros, which has almost nothing native and scores a 1, but it still isn't a full events platform. There's no ticketing, no registration pages, no check-ins, so meetups and webinars are the point of your community. This won't be enough. You might want to look at Bevy or Gradual for that. 2 is Ideation, where I also give it a 3. There is a topic voting plugin that creates vote-sorted idea categories, and real community use it in production, but it isn't a purpose-built ideation workflow. If feeding your product roadmap is the main point of your community, Gainsight is miles ahead here. In the Khoros episode, I said you buy the company, not just the software for 3 to 5 years. That cuts the other way here. On the things you can actually observe, Discourse looks like a healthy vendor. They're putting out new product on a steady cadence, the AI work especially. They're actively winning new enterprise clients, which Khoros and some other vendors aren't. And as I said, the team is technically excellent and people love working with them. They're small, but they're still punching way above their weight. However, some other things to consider. Discourse cut staff in late 2025, which they framed as adjusting their cost structure for long-term sustainability. But the difference, and the read in my mind, is the situation around it. Khoros cut their staff after a private equity acquisition while customers were leaving. Discourse cut staff from a smaller base and has kept shipping and winning customers since. It's the same action, but the context, in my opinion, is very different. So I'd weigh the context, not just the headline. And I'd ask any vendor, including this one, what their team looks like today. And that's why Discourse is still one of the 3 platforms alongside Vanilla and Gainsight I see Khoros communities migrating to most often. The discussion quality is part of it. The bigger part is that the company behind it is pointed in the right direction and shipping towards where I think the market is going rather than away from it. For a multi-year bet, that matters as much as any feature. Now that you've seen the whole picture, here's who should buy Discourse. You should buy if you recognize this. 1. Discourse is the heart of your community, and you want the best discussion experience on the market. 2. Your members are technically minded developers, gaming power users, the kind of audience that Discourse was built for. It does increasingly well on customer support, especially at the large scale. 3. You have or can get a little technical resource and you're willing to actually use the platform instead. Look elsewhere if your community runs on events or if product ideation is the main job, if board level analytics out of the box are non-negotiable, or if you need a stripped back, simple experience your members can use without any learning curve, Discourse might not be the best option. Discourse is a deep forum, not a technical one. So for the right community, that's the whole point. For the wrong one, it's too much. So let's put everything together. Discourse is the best discussion platform in this series, full stop. It scores a 9 on discussion and an 8 on both AI and moderation. If your community is built around conversation knowledge, especially with a technical audience, it's at or near the top of your shortlist, and the AI readiness is a genuine reason to prefer it right now. It's not an all-rounder in a way that Vanilla or Gainsight is, and it isn't trying to be. It's a deep specialist. Ideation events are its weakest area, and content, mobile, and analytics sit somewhere in the middle of the pack rather than out front. So rank it like this. Number 1 for discussion-led communities, especially technical ones, a strong choice for anyone leaving Khoros, and the wrong tool if events, ideation, or out-of-the-box analytics are the point. One thing to bear in mind are the commercials. Discourse is more transparent than most of the market, but you have to understand how they structure their tiers. They sell hosted plans in clear tiers. Pro and business are publicly priced, I think roughly $100 and $500 a month. But the full AI feature set is available across them, not just locked into the top tier. Above that sits Enterprise, which is custom priced like other vendors and where you'd probably land as a large organization, especially with the security and scale and support a big community needs. So for that, talk to the sales team and get a current quote. There's also a self-hosted option for teams that want to run it themselves. This is if you want the open source and you can download it, install it, and do things yourself. But for most enterprise communities, you're going to be going for that enterprise tier. To give you a rough anchor, enterprise and RFP level engagements have started in the low thousands of dollars a month with a dedicated success manager attached. Treat that as a floor rather than a quote, because the real number scales with your size, your security needs, and your support level. The point worth taking away is that the lower tiers being openly priced tells you something. You can see what you're getting before you ever speak to a salesperson, which is not true of most of the heavyweights. So that's Discourse, the strongest discussion platform in the series, genuinely ahead on AI readiness, backed by a small but excellent team, pointed in the right direction for a multi-year bet. The full scorecard behind this video is free. Download it, check it out against your own shortlist as well, and tell me in the comments if you think I've got Discourse wrong. I read them and I change my scores when the evidence says I should. And if you want help choosing a platform or getting off Khoros cleanly, you can find me, Richard, at FeverBee.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.